Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream. I hope you're all doing fantastic as always. We're back with, of course, 23.2. We hope you're enjoying the new update. It's brilliant. Of course, there's the new Challenger 350, and in the stream today we have a very special guest. A lot of you might know who he is, but it's Matt, who actually flies the Challenger 350. So he's going to be able to talk you through some cool things about this aircraft today in this stream on our way to Nice today. It's only going to take around an hour, so it's a relatively short flight, but we've got plenty to talk about. Of course, joined by Cam and Laura as well. What's up? Welcome to the stream, all three of you. I'm glad to have you here today.
Yeah, good to be back.
Great
Awesome
to
stuff.
be back as well.
Let's say some hellos to everyone in the chat right now whilst we're here really quickly. Lee's Aviation, I can see Jason's in the chat managing the Infinite Flight account at the moment. Thanks, Jason, for that. Really appreciate it. Angel, what's going on? Benny Boy Alpha, Bravo Mike, Hope. Who else have we got in here? Let's have a look. Ben, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. And Enthusic Aviation _ YT Murky Aviation Joel, Ghost Customs, Chris Wing, welcome to the stream. Jinko, good to see you back here. D Hicks 3406, Omar, Ecoops. There's too many of you to say hello to. We'll be sitting here forever, but let's just crack on. Let's just dive straight into this stream and fly this brand new airplane over to Nice today. But with that being said, fire your questions away. We're here today to answer as many questions as we possibly can, and of course, once we're airborne, we'll go through some of the things that we faced during the development of this recent release. With that said, Laura, Cam, and Matt, I'm going to fire up the aircraft and focus on just pushing back and getting out of here as soon as possible before it gets too busy. So if you'd like to answer questions in the meantime, please be my guest. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Good.
Let's see.
Before we do, say hello. Introduce yourself so those who don't know who you are.
All right. My name is Matt. Most of you guys know me by DeerCrusher, community moderator on the forum. Been flying planes for quite a few years now, but currently I'm flying the Challenger 350 for a large fractional ownership company here within the United States. So, been flying that for about a year and a half now, I think. So, yeah, I was really happy to see the Challenger come to life in Infinite Flight, and was really excited once Infinite Flight reached out asking for a little bit of help on it too. So yeah, should be pretty fun. I think you guys are gonna, I know it's only been out for a couple days, but I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it.
You've had a bit of a lucky streak really, because you've had the Embraer, the 175, and the Challenger now.
Yeah, yeah, and now
It's our lucky streak, I guess, too.
Yeah.
So when are you moving to the A380?
Yeah, there'll be plenty of those questions today.
Hopefully never.
Are you gonna have to?
Let's see.
We need data. We need to know how it flies.
I think.
Well, Laura, if Matt won't do it, I think either you or I need to go and become an A380 first officer for a few days.
Right, isn't there like a small company that purchased one recently?
There is, yeah. What was it called? Global Airways or
Oh,
something?
well,
Global.
I think global, yeah.
Yeah, they're from the UK, right?
I think so, yeah.
Where was that A380 from originally? Was it in Air France?
Potentially,
Someone
I
must
have
know
no
in the
idea.
comments. Who used to own the global A380 that was just acquired? Someone must know.
Just
Well,
getting
it's
some
like
reports in.
70%
Sorry, just to
chance.
pause you guys. The music's apparently a little bit too loud, so you might disappear off the screen whilst I try to adjust this. If not, would it be possible to try and turn your gain up? If I do that, it'll do some weird UI things on my end, but try to turn the music down a pinch. And then maybe just pinch up your gain slightly. You guys, that would be greatly appreciated. Just not too much. But
There you
Done.
go. Done too. Did that
I
get-
did
should
find
be
a-
better. Let us know if that's
I did
okay in
find
the
a
chat.
big-
Apologies for the quietness if you was experiencing any of that on your end.
I did find a good question for either Laura or Laura or Cameron. It's from Aviator to Booney. When did you decide to add the Challenger, and what was the decision process?
I think we I would have to remember the exact discussion, but I think it was because we had done a lot of airliners and GAs, or like smaller GAs, and there was like for some diversity. We also did like fighter with the F-18. For some diversity, having a private jet would have been an interesting change of pace. So this is how it came to be, and it was a poll internally, and I think that's what we decided that the 350 was going to be the one.
Yeah, that was just a cool aircraft, glass panel. It ticked all the boxes in terms of being able to explore a lot of the smaller 3D airports that our great editors are making as well. So really, with this, and it kind of tied in at the same time when we started talking about missions, so everything kind of came together, and we thought it would be a nice little addition to the sim. Because commercial flying is fun, we have a lot of it, and there's loads of opportunities, but sometimes, getting in one of these is just completely different and just an absolute blast to fly.
I like the idea of just flying custom routes now, having to stick to those that we normally do on streams as well. It'd be great to... Sometimes it's really difficult actually to figure out events or certain routes, because sometimes the schedule might be too long, for example, or the flights might be too long. In that case, we can go ahead and create custom routes now and fly them with an array of liveries, which is really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Jason's done some digging in the background, and we first started talking about this in June last year. So, yeah, one of the reasons being is getting data to these good data and good reference material for these business jets, and some people can find people that fly them is hard. So, knowing Matt was on there was also a good benefit and a good decision point for us to know that we could build something which we could try and get as realistic as possible.
Yep.
So all of the realism freaks out there, you've got it. It's up there.
Yeah. There's a question for you too, Matt. Someone was asking what the pointy things were on the cheeks of the plane.
I'll do it again. I believe they're talking about the pitot tubes. So those are the air source, or the air source instruments rather, that are feeding information to the cockpit for airspeed. In fact, some of ours will take into account like angle of attack in some instances as backup redundancy, instrument. So we have angle of attack indicators on the plane as well, but they can also do multiple things. We call them smart probes sometimes too.
Do you have like in the 350s that you fly? Are they different, all of them, or is it pretty much standard? Like, do you have some that have options, others that don't?
We have two types, or two configurations rather, of the Challenger 350. The first configuration is the one that you see in Infinite Flight. It has that, they call it a divan because they're a little bougie like that, but it's a sofa. It's a 3-person couch. It also pulls out into a bed, so I think it's kind of like the extra long or twin or some sort of size like that. And I've had quite a few passengers using that. And then the second option, it doesn't have the couch, but instead it has another set of club seats, and we call that a dual club conversion, or configuration rather.
Okay.
So,
and then like, and in terms of like airplane features, like specifically for the pilots, like we're talking about like, angle
no,
of
they're
attack.
identical.
Really?
They're identical, yeah. The only difference would just be in the cabin, which would be that sofa there in the back. That's really the only difference.
Okay.
What I found quite funny, Matt actually sent a video into our moderator channel not long ago playing the stream intro song.
Oh yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, the planes have Bluetooth on the plane, and or in the cabin rather, and I hooked up my phone and was playing one of the songs that Dan, I think it's the outro song that you play.
Intro.
I think. Oh, the intro. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing the intro song and took a screen recording or a video of that and sent it into the chat. It was kind of cool.
It was fun.
Yeah, it uses Bombardier is kind of clever how they place their speakers. There aren't really speakers per se in the cabin. Instead, it uses the interior wall to create an entire speaker out of the entire cabin fuselage compartment area. Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. The next challenge would be to hook up the actual stream itself whilst it's live in the cabin on the TV.
Yeah.
When you're doing an empty leg or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to we have HDMI ports on the plane so that we could put stuff in or display stuff onto the screens, but I haven't had the time to kind of figure out how to hook an iPad up to the screen and play Infinite Flight on the Challenger yet. So when I do that, that'd be kind of fun. Yeah.
Well, the next step that we need to do after that is invite Dan onto the actual plane and bring some cameras, and then he can pretend to fly the plane and stream that.
Precisely. I would love that.
That'll be
fun.
All of us guests can be in the club seats in the back.
Of course. So when is that happening?
Well, yeah, Matt, you tell me. Please take me for a flight. I would
we're,
love to.
We're in the States in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No,
no
that's true.
excuses, Matt. No excuses.
I had a missed opportunity a couple months ago, I guess, whenever you guys did the Zurich meetup.
Yes.
The plane that I was flying for the week, we had left in Boston. They had me listed as the second pilot, as a backup in case one of the other pilots one of the first officers got sick or couldn't do the trip for whatever reason. But anyways, the flight was going from Boston to, I think, Shannon, because that's where we usually clear after the crossing. And from Shannon, it was going to Zurich, I think, or somewhere down there. And I was really mad because I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This plane that I've been flying all week is going to Zurich on the same day as the meetup. So I know a couple community members, I think eCoops actually got a couple pictures of that exact plane that I was flying. So
yeah, he just mentioned it in the chat. Yeah.
Wow.
Did he? Yeah, so that was about a day. I had been home for a day and that plane was down there in Zurich, so I was like, ugh.
The coincidence, though. Imagine you actually were rostered onto that.
Oh, it would have been amazing.
That would be really cool.
It would have been amazing. So, but yeah, I'll be in, I know you guys are just kind of talking about Flight Sim Expo, but I'll be down there. I got my PTO days approved, so I'll be down there from Friday through Sunday, so.
Awesome.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you didn't have enough reasons to come to Flight Sim Expo to see us, you can come see Matt as well and talk about the Challenger in real life. Exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow, it's really windy here where I've just taken off from. Ooh,
yeah, I can see that.
Flight Sim Expo is in a couple of weeks now.
Yeah,
So
it's not too far away.
Yep, a couple of weeks and a half.
Yeah,
Sure.
lots to do.
Yeah, like I was telling yesterday, it was like, it felt like June 20 something. It was like so far away. It's not. It's 2.5 weeks now.
It's creeping up really, really quickly.
Yep.
But it'll be fun. We're looking forward to meeting you there. You know, please, of course, if you're there, come stop by at the booth, say hello. Let's get some photos, try out maybe some features that we are hopeful to show there as well. It'll be super, super fun. And of course, we have a community meetup as well. What was the date of that? I can't off the top of my head. I know Jason's probably in the chat right now.
It's
20.
I think it's Saturday.
Saturday.
Was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday.
At 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that'll be good. It'll be a good opportunity to hang out with the rest of the community. It's not going to be a spotting one like we've done in the past, but it'll be a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, which will be nice.
It'll be cool.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
The past meetups have been super cool, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and you missed the Zurich one. The Zurich one was insane. Honestly, I got so lucky with that.
If there's one place we have to go back to do another one of those meetups, 100% has to be Zurich.
Yeah.
The place is insane for that stuff.
Yeah.
But we have to go to LAX though.
Yeah, LA is that definitely has to be on the table. That is a really cool place as well. It's my first time spotting there the other day.
It's
It's
awesome.
brilliant. It's so good. I was just munching on my In-N-Out burger, and all of a sudden, everyone stood up and started taking photos. I was like, why is everyone standing up? But because I was behind In-N-Out, I couldn't see what was coming. And then all of a sudden, the Lufthansa 74 flew over really low, and it was just like, it was so cool. And especially because you can see the departures and arrivals at the same time from that side.
And you can smell
the tires. The tires.
The tires.
Oh, wow. Like, I didn't realize,
The other day, we went with Philippe and we saw a C-17 take off.
Oh, really?
On the 2-4s, yeah, 2-4 left. That's pretty awesome. I go there a lot. Every time I go, it's a mandatory stop.
Yeah.
Whatever time of the day, we gotta go have a burger.
I was lucky enough to also see the Qatar executive. I can't remember. It's a global something, but that come in, I believe one of the only aircraft that had that specific Qatar livery on it. That's a super rare catch. Really, really cool to see that. I was like, we're not leaving until we see this plane.
On the 2-4s? On the 2-5s?
On the 2-4s, yeah, 2-4-8.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've seen their, I think they have a G650, Gulfstream 650 ER that I've seen in San Jose a couple times.
They're pretty nice planes, to be fair.
Yeah, the thing that's sometimes disappointing with LAX is you're waiting for a plane, it's coming in, and it goes for 2-5s.
Yeah.
You're like, great. I guess I can't see it. But there's someone who does the same thing, right? Like as a jet something. What's his name again? The guy in the UK.
The spotter, live spotter.
Oh, Big
Yeah.
Big Jet TV. Jerry?
Big Jet TV. Yeah. There's a guy
Yeah.
who does the same thing for LAX, right?
I'm not sure.
I think there is.
I think they're on the other, like the south side.
Yeah.
I think. They're like spawning from that the parking spot, at the yellow parking spot. That place is amazing.
You know all of the places.
I live there.
You can plan the next meetup.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the only one missing out because I've never been spotting in LAX. So.
Yes, you are missing out. 100%.
Yeah.
Burgers
It
and
is.
planes.
The best place on earth.
Right. It's a good
One of them.
combination. Isn't Oshkosh the other one?
Yep, that's the second. No, to be fair, Oshkosh is absolutely fantastic. So cool. Just the jets ripping holes in the skies every 2 seconds, bursting your eardrums. It's something you don't forget.
For sure.
And then,
Lives in the chat.
and then being in the hangar, hearing the planes, and not being able to see them. You know, what was that?
It's like, it's okay. We'll see it again tomorrow.
Yep. Guaranteed.
And Liv's holding you accountable for forcing her to go spotting in the chat.
It was definitely not forced.
Laura, I have a question for you, or No Name has a question for you, rather. What's the biggest challenge you tackled when developing the Challenger or any other aircraft? How about the Challenger? What was the biggest challenge on the Challenger?
I think it was typically with the planes that have the engines in the back, it's a little more challenging. Like just the lever you have is just a little different. And I think there was a
Are you referring to like when you add power, it wants to push the nose over?
no, just
on
like
a
the
tail-mounted engine, or
just the I think it was like, okay, so there was an original model that I made, which was really good, and then for some reason it was deleted, and I had to go back to like square one and redo the whole thing, and I couldn't figure out how I did it the first time. And it took me a few tries. Like the model at some point, like nobody was happy with it. It was like somewhat on the numbers, but like the behavior was just weird. It just did not feel right. Like it would stall too, like if you pulled, it would just like stall too easily. So it's just a matter like that adjusting took a few tries, and like I don't know why sometimes like I will spend like a day on it, and at the end of the day it still sucks. I still hate it, and I just let it go like just like a fine, and then I come back a week later, and I don't know if it's like a state of mind difference or something, but I can find what was wrong with it, or like kind of fine tune a few things, and it flies better. It's always kind of been like this. There's like always a state in the middle where the physics are not right, and yeah.
So the lesson here is also to make a backup of everything you do.
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, it was not supposed to be. I think it's because we changed versions in the middle. Like this release was like pretty difficult because like technically the last update before that one was supposed to be 23.2, like to be that current update, but it got delayed and delayed and delayed. So we shipped a content update for so we didn't go like so long without updates. So we changed version numbers, and then some content got like mixed in the middle, and an older version of it just got it basically just like overwrote whatever was on my hard disk. And yeah, that's what happened. It was not a fun time. I was pretty mad.
Maybe we can talk a little bit more about this, because I'll talk a bit more about like what led to 23.2 being what it was, because I mean we introduced quite a few changes with the UI changes, missions, the flight training. I mean, I guess it all began probably back later last year when we were working on what we call our scenario system internally, which is what allows for things like the flight training missions to exist. And from there we were trying to see where we could add more use cases. And originally the main developers, so Laura, Philippe, Kevin, and myself met up in person in Lyon for a couple of days, got a meeting room and got a whiteboard and started sketching out ideas, which is one of the few times we've done this in Infinite Flight history.
You'll probably see that come up on the screen in just a moment. I've just put that slideshow on.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And yeah, so missions kind of came out of that as something that we could try and the idea basically being that we could try and give you more ways to fly and more inspiration if you have, say, like a spare hour, or maybe you want to do an overnight flight but you don't know where the action is. And the whole idea of this came to implement missions with this new system that we built, and it all came together eventually. But at the same time, the technical changes that Laura was making a reference to, we were in the process of updating our core technology that we use to build the app, and how we have everything built internally. And annoyingly, it came with a lot of things that were broken and a lot of things that needed a lot of work. But yeah, we had to do a ton of testing. Things were broken like with airport data, things were broken with multiplayer. A few of our core libraries are completely broken. So this is part of the reason why we chose to push this a bit further and do an initial 23.1 update that was still based on our older version.
Yeah, and it's like for the past, I think, so like to kind of explain the reason for those core changes, there's a few things that we've been trying to have, like clouds and smoke and all these things for years, and the way we've done it in the past is we have the person working on clouds, so Kevin or Philippe, they go, like, they split the code, they go in a different direction and implement the features, and then we on like kind of the main track of the app keep releasing stuff and making changes. And when the code bases diverge too much, it's really hard to like kind of merge everything back. So we decided to use a different approach for this, to finally have all these features in, is to develop everything in the same code base with like what we call flags to disable, enable some features. So the version with advanced features is not compiled for the store version, but internally we can switch to that version and it's still running on the same code base. So every time something changes, we know if the two parts of the code, the new version and the old version, work at the same time. And that's been working pretty well, but obviously this causes sometimes regressions, right? So let's say we want to rework some of the internal way we design, we like handle inputs or joystick and stuff like that. We're gonna do the change, but then we realize, oh well, now it breaks this, and this, so we have to fix it because the code is different. So that takes a little bit of time, and there's a few instances where this kind of came in the way of the release of 23.2. So we pushed it, but we added a little more things because we had more time, and it finally fit together for this last update that we just shipped. So
it was a lot of work, and there's a lot that we haven't shared simply because it's not very interesting. I mean, we can show I don't think it would show enough showing the chats between Laura, Philippe, and I trying to identify why the app wasn't building in a certain compilation, or all of our internal tooling had to be reworked for how we build the app and how we release the app, because we do a lot of beta builds, we do a lot of developer builds internally, so we need to have a system that lets us test these changes as soon as we push them, and that had to be rebuilt from scratch with these changes as well. So we're in a much better position tech-wise now, and it's definitely opening the doors to newer graphics improvements that we've referred to as Project Metal in the past. So yeah, and I think with missions, it's a good first step as well, the scenario system that we talked about. We've been getting a lot of good feedback, both in terms of people that really like using it, but also people that see maybe the route selection isn't the best for them, or maybe we're prioritizing the incorrect type of routes for specific users. So definitely a lot for us to go back and keep working on this.
Absolutely.
You guys done an absolutely fantastic job with this one to completely redesign how the app looks, and for it to come out this neat. It's a pat on the back. It looks really nice, and I'm sure the community absolutely love every single bit of it.
Yeah, very much a team effort. We had 𝗖𝗛𝗔𝗡𝗏 join us late last year as well, and he helped us a lot building this UI. And he's got, obviously when you have someone new, they may have a slightly different approach to doing things. So 𝗖𝗛𝗏 was very good at coming in and seeing things like small subtle animations, like when you change tabs or when you change a selected item, which just adds a lot more polish to the end product. So and yeah, back and forth, we did a lot of back and forth, Laura and I, and Jason of course was doing the designs as always and putting up with endless discussions about things. So yeah, it was a good process, and it was a good example of the team coming together to build this.
Absolutely.
Let's see what else they've got going on in the chat then at the moment. There's loads of questions for the A380. It's currently a work in progress. We're not going to share anything on that just at the moment, but of course stay tuned across our social media platforms to find out more on this very exciting aeroplane. I know Laura can't wait to see it in the sim, neither can I. Let's see, when we do the giveaway, we'll do the giveaway later on in the stream, maybe just before the top of descent, or when we've landed, and spice things up. We'll let Matt do the honor of doing the countdown today. Now, I need a bit of a team discussion here, Laura, Cam, and Matt. In the previous streams, somebody come up with an idea of extending the prize. So let me elaborate here. There's this thing across social media where it's like a double it and pass to the next person. But I don't want to double it and pass to the next person because we'll be giving away so many subs at that point. But if we were to, let's say, pick a winner, and then that winner could decide whether they want to keep it or add a month to it and pass it to another person, it's not doubling it, it's just adding one every time. Do you think that would be a fun game to play at the end of the stream? Adding a sub, if it gets passed on each time it's passed on?
Yeah, we can try it, but the only caveat is maximum of 12 months because it's what our system supports. So
there you go then. Max of 12, that's a lot for grabs. It seems fun as well.
Is it like the TikTok videos where they're like, I'll give you 20 or...
Yeah. It's like double it and pass to the next person. They end up spending loads of money.
That's fun.
Cool idea. Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Sweet, we'll do that.
I like it. On the screen now we see the big Challenger. So this we shared a couple of pictures online, I think, of that one. So this is the original import that I made of the 350 when the artists sent it over. It came out as, I think, about 10 times the size, maybe even more.
Does this
because
happen
they
to
had
all
it.
of the planes?
No, I think it's because sometimes they design it in a way like they use the units, they use generic units. Well, maybe they just went. I don't know. It depends on how the 3D Studio Max is configured. So we on our end we'll get the data as it's supposed to be in meters, but if they had it configured in centimeters, then we get the same units, but they're big. So we had to kind of revise this, and it's a quick change, just scaling it or changing the unit. It's a quick change, but it was fun to see a ginormous 350. it's also super weird because like when things don't have the right proportions, like your brain can't comprehend it. Like comprehend it. Like it's just going slowly, but it's big. It's weird. So yeah, it was a fun.
I think
set of screenshots.
the one thing that I find quite interesting about the aircraft being that size is that with it even being that big, the detail on the aircraft is still so perfect and so clear. You'd think if you was to, expand an object and make it absolutely like enormous, it would start to lose its quality. But instead, it stays exactly the same. So it's pretty cool to see that. Is there a reason behind that? Like when you upscale things, they stay the same, or is that just how brilliant the 3D artists are?
I think, well, it shouldn't matter. Like it's not that big, all things considered. I would have to see like what exactly was the problem, because if it's just a scaling issue, because there's like there's the points, the vertices of an object. Like let's say a hand like this, you set up a hand and you design the polygons of the hand, and the way we render it, we have a node attached to it, and the node has this scaling, like a transform. So we say how it's moved and how it's scaled. So I don't know if in that particular circumstance, if it was scaled at the node level, or if if the vertices were like spread apart. But there's no reason why it would cause an issue at that scale. It would have to be much bigger for.
Right.
You would still see the detail, but like things were, remember when we had no global, and you flew from San Diego to like northern, like to Van Nuys or something. On the ground, you were kind of shaking.
Yeah.
You would get that same thing, but like on a much bigger scale, because it's a long explanation, but like there's some precision issue on some numbers.
That was annoying. I remember that trying to put onto a stand,
Yeah.
and the aircraft be shaking all over the place. It'd just be.
I know.
wobbly.
But that's why they were limited in size. Those regions, we could have had bigger regions, but it's actually not that easy to support something that big. Like there's a bunch of tricks that you have to use to make sure that you can render something that's super far, super close, and that can fly super far. Because there's the physics environment is limited to a certain precision.
Okay.
So what we do is like we render, like we have a local physics environment where the plane moves in, but once it goes outside maybe like 5 or 10 kilometers, it would create the same thing. So we just reset the whole environment and say, okay, now the center is over there. We move the physics world where the plane is now. And then you have to do this while the plane is flying. And so it's, yeah.
I mean, we have time to go more into floating point precision. Let's go. There you go. Computer Science 101. Let's go. Everyone get their notebooks out and take notes.
Sorry about the detail. TMI, I guess.
All right. This is fun. I can't talk for all of our audience, obviously, but this is the kind of thing I like to see from other games, talking about like the issues they found out, or for example, like the original developers of Crash Bandicoot talking about how they managed to get that working on the PS1. It's insane.
Jeez.
Don't spark console discussions.
Yeah.
That'd be a wild can of worms.
Anshul has a cool question. What was our favorite bug to deal with in this build?
Let's get
I didn't think
counting.
about that, though.
I think it's a favorite bug. I'm not sure there can be a favorite bug. Can't think of anything that was
If there's
actually
not a favorite, then what was the worst?
the worst.
Missions had quite a few annoying bugs because we had to extract a lot of data to get this working correctly. I mean, if you look at missions, for example, you've got the scheduled missions based on some real data we have, and then we have charter missions, because obviously you've got aircraft like I wanted to say the CRJ, the Challenger, a small general aviation aircraft as well that need to fly different routes. So you can very easily, like we base this, we have a ranking of airports internally that we kind of use to help decide what routes to offer. But for example, you can't always have a 747 start at a tiny grass field because it's not going to fit. So then suddenly we need to start taking into account what aircraft fit in what situations and etc. So there were quite a few issues with this because we had to do this multiple different places. We had to extract some different data. So yeah, it was this wasn't so much difficult, but it was just more that it kept popping up a few times in development and was just frustrating.
Yeah, and then we had, because like when the mission systems feeds us on the client side an airport, we have to find a location where the plane can start from. So we had to also, like find where the planes are, find a parking spot that's compatible with the plane that you have. So there was a little bit of work up front. I think I found the one that was the most frustrating for me in that one. It was the taxiway instruction thing. So where you can drag a taxi, like they give you full instructions. You can see that at the LAX right now. If you go to where the controller has access to this feature, they will be able to send you full taxi instructions to and from the runway. And that was something that's been in the app since, I believe, 2021. And we needed a bunch of things to come together on the servers and also on the scenery editor side, because we needed LAX, or at least a big airport, to have the full taxi layout built with proper naming and all the connections to some gates properly done and all that. And so I kind of left that code alone for a little bit. Some people may remember back in like December last year getting some full taxi instructions from me at LAX. But so this was working, but towards the end we decided, okay, let's ship it at least just for LAX. And a few things were broken, and I had to go back in the code and remember everything. And sometimes you code stuff, it feels like you were on drugs when you coded it, and you come back and you're like, I did this? Like, okay. And like nothing makes sense.
I wouldn't say there's like a hard bug always, but the hardest stuff is always returning to code you wrote more than a month or 2 months ago. Yeah. And when you're writing it, it's all fresh, you know all the caveats of the system, everything that's being built. But you switch your attention to something else and then come back to it, and you're like, "What is this? Like, when did I write this? What was I drinking when I wrote this?"
Yeah, I've had what was it recently where I think I mentioned it to you, Cam, where I needed something, and I was like, "Oh no, I have to code this thing," and I started coding it, and I looked in the code, and it was already there, and I couldn't remember when I coded this thing.
I've done this too.
Do you remember what it was? I forgot what it was.
I can't remember, but this has happened to me more than once as well. It's great, that feeling, though, because suddenly you're about to solve a problem, and you're like, well, thank you, pass me.
It's like Laura or Cam GPT already thought of it in the past.
It's great. Brilliant. Let's see. I saw a question in the chat here that said, where can you see Infinite Flight in 10 years' time? I hope to see it very much still alive and as active as it currently is, if not more. There are some really exciting things coming to Infinite Flight that we can't share right now, but I think it's only onwards and upwards. Hope for the best. Cam, what about you?
Yeah, and I would say, I think, we saw the announcement of the Apple Vision Pro the other day. Not to say that we're going to be on this. That's not what I'm trying to imply. But
I was just about to mention that too.
Yeah,
Infinite Flight and AR.
Yeah, the shape of computing may change. There may be differences. We see every few months something comes along, especially in the past year, that kind of pushes technology into a different direction. There's a lot of hype at first, then it dies down. So I wouldn't say in the next 2 or 3 years, but maybe I'd say give it some time, kind of like the iPhone took over the world eventually. So yeah, we'll need to see.
If anyone's going to test out the Apple Vision, it's going to be Laura.
For sure.
She would turn up on a stream one day just wearing it.
Her NDA doesn't let her talk about it right now.
I wish I had an NDA about this. Like, you know,
That
send
sounds like
one to
someone
me.
that has an NDA would say.
Well, send one to me, Apple, and I'll try the headset for free. I won't even take 30%.
Thing's expensive.
It
Yeah,
is.
expensive.
But remember as well, it's a big technological leap as well. This is a new product. Well, it's a product category that exists, but for Apple, it's a new category as well. And usually, when Apple do it, has some kind of it's a different effect entering the market when they do it. So
Right.
it should come down, and obviously, by the time that the technology becomes more available, the economies of scale will drive it down, and it will become more affordable. And that's why people are saying they're calling it Vision Pro, because that obviously opens the floor for a cheaper model afterwards.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Still keep the price of this one.
Mm.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting. I think one thing it's going to do for sure is like all the other headsets are going to increase in price now, because they were probably trying to keep it low, so it's still affordable. But I think the Vision Pro headset is similar to like the Tesla Model S approach, where it's like a super expensive one for just people that have the means to get something like this. And then they're basically funding the effort, I guess. And then they move on to like the cheaper options.
Yeah.
The non-pro version will just come with no strap, no goggles or whatever it is itself. It'll just come with the battery pack. You have to pay for the extras, of course.
Maybe it's like the Google Cardboard thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, have you seen the Google Cardboard before?
I haven't, no. I've heard of it, but I haven't really ever looked into it.
So it was back in, what was it, 2011 or so, that Google just released you could either buy it or you could make it yourself. You would get some cardboard, you'd cut it out, put some Velcro on it, and then you'd put your phone in it, and it's got 2 lenses, so you could hold it up to your face and kind of get a virtual reality experience just from your phone.
It's pretty cool.
It was a good way to introduce it, because obviously it's a new technology to loads of people, and there's a big financial barrier of entry.
Yeah, I had the Samsung something. It was like this white thing. You could slap your phone on it. It was pretty cool still. Would run out of battery pretty quickly, but you could do a few cool things with it.
Never owned a VR headset.
Yeah, it was always clunky, honestly. The last time I tried was at a flight school. They had this running on Microsoft Flight Sim, and it was underwhelming, honestly. Like the field of view was very narrow.
Right. Yeah.
It seemed very blurry, and I remember like I did a few maneuvers, like a few loops over Manhattan, and I felt dizzy for like 20 minutes after that. I had to stop. So, yep.
Was Google Glass like one of the first? Would you even consider it AR? Or
Not really. Google Glass was
like
just like
VR
a
thing?
helper. It was like
Okay.
a helper thing. It was not that advanced.
Is this still around, or did that kind of die out?
No, it died out.
Yeah.
There can't be anything healthy about having a screen close to your eyes.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like
Well-
the problem is that when it's closed, it's the way you focus on something.
Yeah. It's true.
And the way it's like a HUD, right? It's something your eyes focuses on, like the distance. So the fact that it's closed, it's like it would be the same. Like you're wearing glasses, it's so close to your eye, it doesn't matter. It's what your eyes are focusing on is something that's far away. So
It's a bit.
True.
Yeah.
yeah,
I was quite surprised the other day when I was on the flight and I saw that guy with just some normal like Ray-Ban looking glasses, which were actually screens. It was so odd.
Yeah, because Snapchat did something like that at one point as well.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they partnered, I think, with Ray-Bans to create glasses that had like cameras in them, but I don't think they have screens.
Yeah, they had the cameras, that was it, correct.
Yeah.
Aviator Booney said, will we see a 2023/2024 development roadmap later this year?
We'll talk about features as they come. I don't think we'll be doing a full roadmap, simply because, I mean, as we just talked about with our big changes, there was so much that caused us to have to like reevaluate our release date on several occasions. So, and especially if a community as passionate as ours, we don't want to not even promise, but talk about things that then we're not able to deliver, because that's always more complicated. But no, we're getting to the point of quite a few features where we're getting quite comfortable to hopefully start talking about them at some point this year. So stay tuned and we'll open up more then.
Cam, would I be right to say that, of course, this was a big release, and quite a difficult one at that, and that's why it took quite a handful of time. Is it of the intent now to start speeding up the cycles again, like in the past?
Yeah, we do like doing the release every month and a bit, just to keep the content coming and have things there. We'll see now how it is in the next over the summer, simply because we've got flights at Expo and Oshkosh, so we're going to be traveling a little bit, so timing's going to be a bit different than normal. But yeah, we'll definitely try and do that. Most of this update was the big UI changes, but primarily these technical changes we made under the hood that we talked about. Now that those are done, it's very hard to put into perspective to non-developers just the amount of like impact this is bringing to us. So we're in a much better position there. So hopefully we can expect to see more.
Crazy Bee was asking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
I was just gonna say, we've had to do this a few times in the past where we had to like kind of take a step back and spend a lot of efforts on things that we couldn't share yet, and it's frustrating because we can't really communicate it yet because we're not really sure it's going to work. And you know, we've got people online saying like we're on a beach somewhere doing nothing, and in the meantime, you know, working, you know, nights and weekends. And
yeah, the day Laura's on the beach, the world is ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, not allowed to leave.
No, what I was gonna ask is, or address, is Crazy Bee was asking about the scenery above 60 and south of 60, the parallels. If there was any update in regards to that.
No, nothing to share right now. We're aware of this, and there are improvements that we have in the pipeline that we want to make to our scenery in general. But yeah, we're doing quite a few technical changes under the hood, and the people that work on that are focused on that. This is mostly Philippe that handles elevation data, and Philippe is probably one of the busiest people right now for several reasons. So yeah, hopefully we can share more soon.
Cool.
We want to land in Reykjavik, so.
Yes.
Cool.
Dom said rainy weather update for when? I think, again, this is something that, like, we know you want, and best believe it's something that we also want. Like, the features that you want to see, we say this every time as well, the things that you would love to see in the simulator are things that we also 100% would love to see. It's just how to get to that particular point. So, like I mentioned, we're in a better position now to hopefully make great progress and go full steam ahead with some things.
And Dan's right about us wanting it too. Like, Dan and I live in the UK. We want some level of realism as well. It's not fair for us to have these like beautiful blue skies all the time, because you can't practice.
Yeah, and I had virtual lunch with Kevin today, who's taking care of all the rendering effects, clouds and stuff. And you know, we talk about things. So.
Yeah, Kevin's doing some absolute magic right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can share some of that magic soon, but it's pretty epic.
It's pretty cool stuff. You're not ready for it. You can't be ready for it. There's no way to be ready for it. It just looks... I'm not going to say anymore.
Will our devices catch fire? That's the question that the community wants to know.
Well, considering a lot of Europeans, you know, the cost of energy's gone up. We're just providing a different source of heat for your home now. So yeah, come October, your iPhone will be a hand warmer.
Hey, you know, we're technically, like, we could be considered a a carbon helping, endeavor, because people learn on the phone instead of going in the air. So
That's true.
the time they spend in the
valid
air in
point.
training is more efficient.
Oh, and you're saving a bunch of money too, right?
Yep.
I know the answer is probably relatively straightforward. You've most likely mentioned it before, but I don't even know the answer to this. Why do the devices get hot? Like really hot sometimes? Like what is the reason behind that?
That's because it's doing a lot of processing.
Oh, it's loading the best flight simulator. That's right.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like heat is a byproduct of, things being done, right? So same as like if you rub something on a table, it becomes hot. So it's the same. When a CPU or memory or GPU are doing things, they emit heat. It just creates heat. So some devices are better than others at dissipating the heat. And I mean, you can notice that on especially Android, they will throttle, they will lower the frequency of the processor, like the GPU or CPU, to help with that. Then the one thing that I do sometimes when it gets too hot is, if you look at this cover here, like this protection, it has this little furry inside, which is not really helping with heat dissipation. So it's a good thing if you know your device is getting too hot, and you can feel it like lowering the frequency, it gets more jittery. Just take it out, and I mean, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like one trick that I had is like, when you go to the chiropractor or like a massage therapy office, they give you like those pads that you can put in the microwave or like in the freezer, and those are great at transferring heat. So if you put an iPhone on there, it gets like, it's by itself, I think that whatever gel is in there is like super calorie conductive or something. Like the whole thing gets really warm, but the phone is cool. So
Yeah.
it's a
Brilliant.
Or another trick,
Very
just
efficient.
set your graphics settings to limit it to 30 FPS, because that then means that the processor's doing work it's not doing work like every 60 milliseconds every time. It's got a bit of breathing room in between, so that breathing room means it's generating less heat, which means everyone's happier.
that also works, but it's not weird. So
Yeah. Okay. Fine. But there are some providers now that sell like these massive fans that you can put on the back of your phone as well.
Yeah, I've seen
a
those.
few companies come up with
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
if you want a creative solution,
But yeah, honestly, it's usually like if your phone gets too warm, it's probably a good idea to just find ways to lower the settings if that happens, because it's not good for the battery when everything is too warm. It damages the battery. So
but that's also why on PC you can get a lot more power, because you've got more space for the heat to be dissipated. It's why gaming on laptops generally isn't as good as gaming on a desktop PC. Desktop PC, you can put more space in between it. You've got a lot for more powerful components, because you can also dissipate the heat more easily. Here you've also got a battery as well, so you've got to be careful not to heat it up too much to not damage the battery. And yeah, there's a lot going on.
Just a quick update on the flight. We are descending. We've just leveled off at 32,000 though. We're currently, where is it? 182 nautical miles away. Shouldn't be too long, about 24 minutes, but we are being vectored, and I can imagine we'll see many more vectors. It's looking quite busy at Nice, so we might be flying around for a little while, but we've still got plenty of time. So yeah, not too long, around 20 minutes or so until we're on the ground and then doing the giveaway.
Did you put the seatbelt signs on? It's
Yeah,
quite
the
bumpy.
seatbelts are on. It is quite bumpy. It's because I guess it's because of the Alps.
yeah, probably.
Which
It's
I
been
saw.
pretty bumpy, bumpy weather in the southern part of France this past few weeks. They've had thunderstorms. I was in Lyon last week for this expo called I think it's France Air Expo. They had 4 flights. Textron was there. I think there was Diamond, Pilatus, a bunch of like cool companies were there. And I picked a day, like I stayed overnight, and I flew the Cub there, and didn't want to leave the Cub out, and I picked a night where there was no storms, But the night before it was crazy, and the night after, there was like, I looked around like 6 or 7 p.m. There was a huge sail right over the airport. So I dodged a bullet there.
100%.
Been pretty, the northern part of France and the rest of Europe, I think, and the north, been pretty good.
What's it like where you are, Cam? Rainy?
Oh, it's beautiful. I know earlier I said it was rainy. There's not a single cloud in the sky, and it's actually really warm outside. So.
Oh wow.
They're expecting it's going to reach 30 degrees this weekend. I think it's probably the same for you down where you are,
I
right?
think it's like, isn't it like the hottest day today or something?
Ugh,
And I'm
exciting,
inside
isn't it?
streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least here in Denver, we get thunderstorms. I was just looking to see what the temperature was. We get thunderstorms like clockwork about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and so that's a great. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's 16 degrees here right now.
Wow.
Celsius, so it's nice. What, 60
Thank you,
degrees
Matt.
Fahrenheit? Yeah,
I
enjoying it here.
I have a very deep appreciation when Americans translate it to Celsius for
Yes.
us. I can't do it.
Only pilots can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Like there's like some temperatures that I've like kind of come to know the conversion just off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's easy.
But
70 is 20, 60 is 15, 50 is 10. Once you get,
-40 is -40. That's another
Right.
easy one.
oh, it's usually pretty. If you go over like 30, like anything over 100 is like, I think it's 40 something.
Yeah, something like
I think
that.
it's like if you have like specific, you just have to remember like every 10 and you're good to go.
You just start splitting the difference between the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just sit down and memorize them. Press the Americans in Houston a few weeks. I'm gonna get there to the immigration where they check your passport, and they're gonna ask me to convert these temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit.
I got a fun story really quickly. It's just for some reason Houston reminded me of flying the other day. When I was flying back from LAX, it was a standby ticket, and I got to the gate, and of course Liv was operating crew on the flight, and she could see the loads of the aircraft. And I got to the guy at the gate, and I was like, would it be possible to get a free, like, I'm not fussed about premium or anything, can I just get an entire row in economy? And he just looked at me, laughed, when the flight's full, went, no, it's not. I know the loads. He was like, oh, and then he gave me a free row. He was just being difficult. I was like, that's great.
Yeah, you need to start it by saying you're like the top tier of the frequent flyer club, because obviously that helps with everything. It doesn't make you look like a jerk at all.
Yeah. Matt, seeing as we're getting close to Nice, let's hear some tips on landing the Challenger 350. Because this is my first time as well landing in the virtual cockpit in infinite flight with this aircraft, so I can imagine it's going to be quite the sight.
So the first and most important one is to not crash. That's tip number 1.
Cool, got that one.
Number 2, I don't know. The Challenger, you can't use much bank in the crosswinds, just because the flaps, they're already so low to the ground. So you're just gonna ultimately have a wing strike. It's kind of like if you've flown the Challenger, the CRJ200. It's kind of very similar in terms of how low it sits to the ground, so you can't really dip a wing down as much. So especially in the crosswinds, if there is a crosswind there in Nice, you want to make sure you're on the rudder. That'd be important. But yeah, I did create self-plug. I did create a profiles guide, which is actually rather helpful. It's got all the landing speeds you'll possibly ever want, as well as all the takeoff speeds. Kind of gives you a sort of idea of what you should fly on final, as well as touchdown. Our actual, or in real life, our procedure is just to fly the approach 10 knots faster than what our touchdown speed is going to be. kind of helps reduce, or helps keep things more stable. I did a flight with Tyler actually last night, and we did a circle to land approach, and we were originally going to fly it at that 10 knots faster, but I was like, well, because it's a circle to land, we actually fly at 20 knots faster than our VREF speed, so let's try that instead. And it turned out to work out, excellent. So, and that wasn't something that I had really tested when the Challenger was in its testing phase, was to, fly around 20 knots fast, faster of REF, just to see how it was going to perform, and it performed perfect. So, I think that kind of leading into that second tip is to make sure you're on speed. It's very easy to fly this plane fast, to the runway, and you'll float for days.
Right.
So you'll really start eating up, the runway pretty quick.
You don't need to flare an awful lot, do you? It just almost, the ground effect really helps out.
Yeah, the ground effect will help out a lot. Just a very, very slight, pull back on the nose, and it'll sit right down on the runway.
Nice. I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Quick question about the flaps, actually, once you mentioned that. It sparked an idea in my head. So you aren't allowed to dip the wings very much. To avoid, scraping the flaps along the runway, for example, can you land with, like flaps 20, for example, in windier conditions to avoid them wings dipping into the runway? Or is it...
I actually don't know, because I've never landed flaps 20 before.
Right.
I don't know if that's... I'd have to look in our manuals to see if that's something that we could do, but I don't think so. Yeah.
Say, like, gives that
So-
extra few inches
so-
of wiggle room there.
Yeah, you would think. But no, yeah, I mean, rudder, especially in a crosswind, the crosswind limitation is 24 knots. So, 24 knots is, that limit there where you have enough rudder authority to keep the nose, somewhat parallel to the center line. But yeah, I mean, it handles it like a champ. You have to work for it. In real life, it's not as easy as Infinite Flight might depict it as being, but it does the job. It gets it done.
It's going to be about 6 knots crosswind. I looked on in ForeFlight.
Oh, so piece of cake.
There we go.
Yeah.
Then.
Are you landing on
Judged by a real pilot.
are you landing on 22?
4 right.
Oh, so it's actually almost like a tailwind. 2 knots tailwind and 6 cross.
Well, since we're landing at Nice, we should have Regan on here to give some tips, because we've had some fun stories about him approaching Nice in the past.
The French giving him a hard time?
No, just... Yeah, I'm not going to mention it.
Adam just said something in the chat. Things you don't want to hear from a pilot. Don't worry, I have enough of rudder to keep me on the runway, somewhat on the runway.
Pretty true. I mean,
Yeah, it is what it is. You might stay on the runway, might not.
I've always said, to the captains that I've been flying with, I've always said, good luck, we're all counting on you, especially when it gets bumpy or, crosswinds and stuff, and they're like, well, thanks a lot. Gives me a lot of confidence. It's a confidence booster.
No pressure.
Yeah, I've been in a situation one time where I ran out of rudder on the 𝗖𝗛𝗔𝗡𝗥𝗦𝗛𝗣𝗏. It's not fun.
Some of the people don't have much faith in your abilities. Oh, that's pretty
The
upsetting.
Challenger, I know Infinite Flight doesn't model it, really, but we have a yaw damper. Well, actually, I guess it kind of does, but we don't really use it. The Challenger has a yaw damper, and it's one of the few aircraft that can take off and land with it on, so we kind of, when we're taking off, we kind of override it, just using the rudder pedals as normal. But, you get some pilots who are new to the fleet, and they're like, well, why are we taking off with the yaw damp on? They're like, aren't we supposed to turn it off and, and turn it on after, once you're in the air? But on the Challenger, no, you keep it on, so, yeah. Which I found out, if you lose that, if you use the yaw damp above 30,000 feet, you'll pretty much flip over. It's it actually does a lot of work, whether we realize it or not. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, just kind of weird, fun, random fact.
It's like flying an Airbus almost.
On which way? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, what happens?
You start getting into like a Dutch roll sort of motion. So you know, the tail's just gonna kind of start dancing around, and then eventually it's gonna get so bad that it's just gonna roll you over. So
Are you speaking
our
from
procedure.
experience?
No, well, they put us through it in the sim.
That's crazy.
It's actually one of the things that, you know, and part of the training is, you know, a yaw damp fail scenario at 45,000 feet,
So what do you do?
and you descend and slow down as best as you can. I think you have to get below 25, somewhere in the mid 20s. You have to get down below before you have enough air density, or, you know, enough airflow in the area to keep air flowing over the rudder. Yeah, it's a pretty wicked experience.
Does the Challenger have any other unique, what's the words?
Like quirks?
Yeah.
It does. When you add flaps 20 with the spoilers out, it has this weird, like, jerk motion where one of the wings drops ever so slightly. I don't know why, but it has something to do with how the air is flowing over the wing, over the flight spoilers, and hitting back onto the flaps or something like that. It's just the way that the air is moving.
It dips to one side.
Typically it dips to the right for some
weird.
reason. So there's that one. So the second one, when you apply takeoff power, there's so much thrust produced that you actually need right rudder on the climb out. Like, as if you were flying a prop. It is the weirdest thing ever.
Really? But what's the
Yes.
reason? What's
I
causing
have no idea.
symmetrical something? You should be like,
I don't. Well, okay, so let me finish with this. When we reduce power, we have to add. Well, we bring the rudder trim out. We bring it back to neutral. So it's almost got a left yawing motion as you reduce power.
really?
So I was having this theory that maybe it was the way that the air is coming out of the jet engine, I guess. I don't know if it's spinning, which I don't think so.
Like it's the same on both sides.
Yeah, they're the same engine. But when you add power, you have to add a little bit of right rudder. We just use rudder trim. And then when you reduce power, you have to add a little bit of left rudder, or, you know, go back to neutral to correct it.
It's pretty strange.
I'd love to know why. If someone watches the video and knows
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, I haven't done a whole bunch of research, like, online to see if there's, you know, an article or somewhere on the forums written up about it, but none of the captains that I've flown with, you know, have seemed to hint as to why.
Does it happen on the ground as well? Do you feel it a little bit on the ground?
No. Like, even like on landing, for example, when we apply reverse thrust, you don't notice asymmetrical, you know, thrust coming off of the engines.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Unique aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So those are kind of the two biggest quirks. The engines being that main one, but yeah, otherwise it's a dream to fly.
What's
So
the
like,
Go on, Laura.
sorry. No, like
You go.
so the yaw damper thing is because like the way I adjust it in our case too to avoid having a yaw damper, which from what I understand is basically an autopilot for the rudder.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have it to be you know, it just is functioning in a way that makes it kind of steady.
Right.
Like you could have this issue if I reduce the size of the rudder to make it kind of small. You can kind of see it like doing this. Like do you know if you could so basically you can stall the rudder pretty easily on that plane then. Like, do you know in the
If I
simulator?
if you kicked it over?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never tried it.
Don't
I mean-
don't leave me in one of those simulators at flight safety. I would just break their flight model.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know in September because that's when I go back for my recurrent training.
Cool. Can I come?
Sure. There's observer seats.
Where is it?
Yeah, Columbus. Yeah.
Okay.
So you could fly probably to Detroit, maybe.
That sounds fun. I'd love to do that.
Detroit or Chicago, yeah.
I've done a couple of times on those big sims, like once a Beach 1900 and a 320. It was super fun.
I think there's two, the evaluator, and then two. So there's two observer seats there extra in the back. Only reason
Laura will
I know
have a lot of notes on this though. Like I've seen Laura test some flight models of other simulations, and it's always interesting to see.
Well, the crazy thing is those simulators cost just as much, if not more, than the actual aircraft.
Wait, really?
Which is, yeah.
And they're full motion, right?
Yeah, and they're starting to get a little bit more high tech with them too. They used to be hydraulically actuated, you know, the pistons that move the simulator around. Now they're starting to become more electric, so they're electric pistons or some sort thing going on in there. But I think the Challenger, I think they list it for 25 to 28 million, and I think those sims cost somewhere just north of that, closer to 30.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, my gosh. Yeah, it is. And that's just for a Challenger sim. I mean, imagine what a 787 or A350 sim is probably going to run you.
I just find it nuts that they're more expensive than the actual aircraft. You take into account like the engines, the rest of just the rest of the aircraft in general, how much that would cost.
Oh yeah.
That's nuts.
I mean,
Yeah.
they don't make as many as the actual aircraft. So
That's correct too. Yeah,
probably why it's that expensive.
it could be.
And there's also
Well,
extra development to get all the panels working with the simulation as well. You've got to get the screens, they've got to be certified. There's all sorts. It's a different product, while it seems the same. Your operating costs are definitely lower in the long run because there's less mechanical things, as like on a jet engine, for example.
Yeah. So I think we have two Challenger sims in Columbus, and then there's one sim in I think Wilmington, Delaware. So that's the other one. But I think those are actually the only three Challenger sims in the country actually. So there's only three.
And Infinite Flight.
And Infinite Flight, yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell them you did all the training with us.
And this one doesn't cost.
I'll
how
sign
many
something
million?
for you. I will just sign something for you. Don't worry.
Get it signed, approved by the FAA.
Yeah, of course.
This one only cost $9.
Yeah.
There we go.
But,
We could just do the FAA logo, but make the I in front of IFAA very small, so it's technically correct.
FAA.
Sounds legit.
If anyone feds are listening, we're not condoning fraud, by the way.
All right, Dan, what are you doing? Are
The
you
invective
downwind or something? Oh, okay.
Yeah, hopefully not too long. It's actually, if you're watching the stream back on your end, you can see there's quite a few aircraft around.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hopefully it shouldn't take too long, maybe 10 minutes or so until we're short flight. At the very most, I'd say. We'll see. I can imagine ATC are very stressed right now. I can imagine why. But ATC, they do a brilliant job. I say it all the time, if this was me in their boots, trying to vector this many aircraft or trying to do this much at once, these virtual pilots, I couldn't do it. I tried it once at Gatwick with about 3 planes, and then they all started taking off and then doing pattern work. I just backed out. I was like, nope.
Yeah, but I'm amazed at just how many aircraft there are here. I just loaded it up on our development build, and for multiplayer stuff, I've got a ton of extra stats that are being put on here, and it's just crazy to see all the data coming through.
Are there any shareable stats that you have right now?
It's not really of interest to most people. It's just I can kind of see just when the last position report came in from each and every aircraft, and it's updating incredibly quickly for a ton of them. But no, it's just crazy to see. I have a list of kind of like every single type of message that we receive as well. That not like ATC message, but like the internal messages that are sent. So there's definitely more than like at least 30 per second are coming in each time, which is crazy. I'm currently streaming down about 15 kilobytes of data per second. So
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. We're pretty low bandwidth, which is pretty good, but it's pretty funny when you think of, you see the data and it's just all position data of planes and stuff.
Can you see how
but
many,
no, this is...
Sorry, go on.
No, go.
I was just going to say, can you see how many aircraft are currently on the expert server?
Currently on the expert server, there's 588 connections right now. So they're not all around Nice, obviously. Yeah, this is obviously midweek as well. It obviously goes much higher over the weekends and release periods, so... Yeah, we dealt with a couple of server crashes the past few days, so we've increased the stats of the server that we're running on, so hopefully we'll see some improvement there. But one of my main areas of focus as well is server optimizations and future developments. So this is definitely good data. This is part of the reason why I've joined in this session, because I can get all of this data into a replay file and then use it to optimize and see where we can improve it, because obviously we can support a lot of aircraft, but it depends on what conditions like the server is in. So if you've got lots of aircraft in the same place, that's a lot worse than having aircraft dispersed evenly all over the globe, because the closer the aircraft are, we need to send more detailed position information. You're more likely to make more sudden movements if you're right next to an aircraft in formation versus if that aircraft is 50 kilometers away. So yeah, we're still working on this iterative process, and there will be some cool things that are coming out of it, because like we said before with the main app development as well, we've overcome some hurdles there, and we're getting into a good position to start sharing some more features working there. So yeah.
That brings me on to the next topic really quickly. Then I'm seeing a few A380 questions in the chat. Features. Best believe we would love to share them with you, but just be patient and stay tuned across our social media channels. That's all we can really say. That's just I'm programmed to say that in every single stream. It's like a default answer. I'm like Siri now.
So Dan, when is the A380 coming?
Soon. So yeah.
Well, Dan and I get to ride on one coming back from Oshkosh this year, which will be fun.
Yeah, that was funny. It was because you wasn't able to book yourself onto the same flight originally. So we looked at, I think that was the case anyway. Then we re-looked at the later flights and decided. Well, I decided that because I'm Afghi, I wanted to wait a couple more hours to ride back on a 380 instead. And Cam was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll join you."
Yeah, we'll find something to do for 4 or 5 hours at O'Hare.
Yep. Some spotting.
Yeah.
Could host a meetup in that time.
No, I'm going to be dead from Oshkosh.
Burnout is real.
You can if you want. I'm going to go have a deep dish pizza while I'm in Chicago.
Let's go to the lounge.
Yeah, fair enough.
Chill out.
It'll be needed after that week. Oshkosh it's great fun. It's super fun to see everyone that comes out there and see old friends, meet new friends, and lots of people you get to talk about their interesting aviation lives and all of their adventures. But yeah, honestly, like 7 days of it straight, you feel it by the end of it.
Yeah, the first few days are like fine, and it gets to like maybe like day 5, like I'm starting to feel this now. Yeah.
The good thing is the Sunday is like a chill day.
Yeah.
Because if it was like the most intense one, it would be brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get that nice quiet spot in the middle of the day where everyone's watching the middle of the air show, and you can just have a drink, chill out, for the next wave.
But like for those that have never been there, if you have the opportunity to come, just do it. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, I was trying to sell it to the Uber driver the other day. he coincidentally liked planes. I was like, have you heard of Oshkosh? He was like, no. I was like, you need to go. You have to go. It's not even a question.
Absolutely have to go. It is the place.
It's an absolute dream there. It's like AvGeek heaven. Like, even if you don't like planes, you will like being there. It's a cool environment.
And there's like something that's specifically different, like, you know, doing air shows in Europe now. I have you know, everything is kind of different, where you have people who are like all the planes, everything that when you're on the line, you can't get close to the planes. There's tons of restrictions. It's very like protected, and there's rules and stuff. Over there, it seems like so crazy.
America.
You know? Yeah, it's just America.
Literally.
There's like things like the Wall of Fire, where on the night show they just blow up a whole bunch of like pyrotechnics, where your face almost melts.
It's crazy. You can feel the heat from far back as well. Those explosions.
Yeah, it is pretty insane. Pretty insane. I would highly recommend it.
That said, I'm actually quite close to landing now, so what I'll do is I'll start to focus a little more on the actual flying side of things, so I don't fly into the back of anyone. But for those of you watching, if you've got any more questions to ask before the stream's up, then of course, please throw them in the chat now whilst you have the opportunity. And of course, to those of you who are asking, when's the giveaway? We'll do the giveaway once we've landed. Why don't we have Matt in the Challenger 350 cockpit?
Well, we're seeing Matt in a few weeks at Houston, so we'll be 3D scanning him there. For the
Yeah.
We did that once with Moritz, and I find it quite funny because even this morning I was working on something in our airport data processor, and debugging it, you just see like new Moritz, new Moritz, new Moritz, and it's like, what is he doing in the code?
Yeah, there's a lot of Moritz all over the place.
Yeah.
So many now around the Infinite Flight world.
Made me think for our end of year debrief, we should just have like some fun stats, like number of Moritzes placed at the airports around the world. Or is it Moritz?
Be in the thousands, probably.
Yeah.
Isn't there some kind of like monument of some kind that someone built with Moritzes?
I might have built a shrine in Omaha.
Is it still
I think it's still there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's inside a building or inside a hangar.
It is, yeah. I even put lights around it too to make it look like, you know, it was some sort of ritual or something like that. Yeah, I think it's still there. It's in one of the hangars.
Yeah, that was one of the strangest things I've seen in Infinite Flight in all my time.
I think he's standing on the stairs, and then there's like six Moritzes lined around him with some lights and stuff. Yeah. Bad example.
Yeah, this is not leading by example, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But it needed to be done, though.
You're going to have to remove that as per the review guidelines.
Hey, hold on. Was this done on a Saturday morning, though?
Yeah.
If it wasn't a Saturday morning, then
it was a Saturday. Okay. It's a Saturday morning idea. I only learned from the best, though. That's why.
Now who's the bad
Adam said that there's 10 of them. Yeah, it's probably more like it. At one airport.
Aviator Booney's asking if we're doing a 2023 recap video. To answer that, June. We're only halfway through the year.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
We've got 6 months more of work to do before we can recap it.
𝗖𝗛𝗔𝗡𝗟 said one of my airports has 22 Moritzes, each in the name of the reviewers. It's worse than Deer's. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna have to review all this.
Or we're gonna have to start 3D scanning more people.
Yeah. Let's scan people at FSC.
Cleared ILS runway 4 right approach. Turn right heading 300. Descend and maintain.
We can be the generic plane spotters behind the
139.
fences at the end.
Clear 8 Kilo Tango. Turn right
It'd be cool to
heading
have
300.
Devil or you guys at
Aircraft
the Zurich meetup.
Turn left heading 110.
Oh yeah,
Descend and
You
maintain
know,
9,000.
like wherever
Like
you
in the
were in the
middle.
middle. Yeah.
that's a really neat
Descend and
idea
maintain
actually.
6,000. Maintain 6,000
And that
until
in itself was just
established on the
such a
localizer.
cool
Cleared
location.
ILS runway
I think
4
we
right.
didn't know really what to
Delta
expect. There was some
113.
photos online, and then when we got there and got off the bus, it was just insane. Laura, it's something that you definitely have to experience.
Turn right heading 310.
Yeah, next year I guess if we have one. I liked the observation deck. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
This was insane. Like honestly, I didn't expect. The only thing is you have to sit through 90 minutes of German commentary, and it's quite funny when the majority of us on the bus did not speak German. But it was good.
It's fine. As long as there's planes, doesn't matter.
When last year when we went to Zurich airport, I think we went like 6 hours early, right?
Yeah.
My family was like, why'd you show up this early? I'm like, hello, we're into the observation deck. But like, why? You can see planes.
Yeah, and your flight was like an hour and a half before mine, so I had to chill for another like, hour and a half. I remember I was sat on the terrace in the E-gates, which is like the satellite terminal at Zurich, because obviously UK isn't part of the Schengen zone, and I got to watch Laura's plane take off from there while having a drink, so it's good.
That's kind of cool.
It was a beautiful flight that day. Like,
Yeah.
remember the clouds were like kind of in the middle. It was super nice.
That flight was the one where the guy sat across the row from me was questioning me about how I was tracking where the plane was because he was using ForeFlight on my phone and that he was going to report me to the crew, and I'm like, okay, go ahead.
Right, I'm just about to land.
Yeah, I'm on the ramp waiting for you.
No pressure then.
I just saw that
Attempting to
condor.
land.
I just saw a condor. I think it was
Say approach request.
What was it?
99. Turn right heading 300.
UA Aviation said the funniest encounter with Zurich was the border control when they were so confused why I flew there for 1 day of spotting.
Oh,
So-
I remember that. Yes, because I was with them just after they did that.
Turn right heading
this would land you in some kind of like secondary inspection in America. You're coming to LAX just for a burger and photos. Step aside, sir.
That's brilliant.
You're gonna have to do a full body pat down sort of thing. Probably what they would do.
I've been to that secondary inspection room.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, when I came back one
Jeez.
time. Yeah, we came back with one of our kids. Like we had a special like visa green card situation, and you could see the like the DPV people were like they took our file and like oh they put it back in the on the wall there like a little thing where they put all the files.
Mm-hmm.
At some point we're like they keep picking up our file and like not taking us, and they have to apologize at some point like because we had like an infant with us and they left us like for a couple hours.
Oh, jeez.
It was not
Sounds,
fun.
I was gonna say that sounds miserable.
Yeah, it was like 12 hours. It was in LA, so like 12-hour flight plus 2 hours waiting in that room.
Oh, jeez.
Sounds fun.
It was not. But now it's a cool story. I guess. Anyway.
I don't know if it's cool. I think it's just feel bad for you for having to have done that.
Oh, I've had worse LA arrivals.
Just queuing or?
No. I was sick on the plane.
Oh no, really?
I was miserable.
Oh,
Absolutely miserable.
This is after your trip to Zaragoza.
No.
Okay.
It was like another time. Another time. Yeah, no, it was this was miserable. I'm not sure I want to talk about it on stream though.
Subscribe to our Patreon to hear Laura's inside
Exactly.
story.
Become a channel member.
Yeah. Sorry, yes, I was meant to shout that out.
Delta Alpha November, number 2, runway 4 right, clear
Alright,
to
it's a
land.
moment of truth where Matt judges my awful landing.
Charlie Foxtrot Delta Oscar.
Do they have an ILS there? Is that what you're flying?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, looks like it.
Golf Bravo Uniform Oscar Victor. Request permission to cross runway 4 left. Golf Bravo
Oh,
Uniform
focused on
Oscar
you.
Victor.
Yeah.
Cross runway 4 left. Crossing runway 4
No
left.
pressure at all.
Golf
Just
Bravo
Good luck,
Uniform
we're all,
Oscar
Victor.
good luck, we're all
people.
counting on you.
Yep.
Cross runway 4 left.
There's
Crossing
a
runway 4
fancy
left.
Where's
Vista
Waldo
Jet
Condor
564.
airplane
Exec Jet
Oh, yeah.
237.
lined up
Line
on
up and
0
Oh, the
runway
candy
4
cane?
left.
Yep.
Contacting
Yeah,
Marseille
several
Center
here.
on 127.0. Charlie Fox
Is that the only striped condor livery that's in Infinite Flight right now, or is there another one?
I think it's the only one.
Yeah, it's the only one right now.
Then we have a Portugal GIP 339 Challenger A220.
Oscar Tango Mike X
Yeah.
Red.
You have a favorite
201.
Challenger
Runway 4 left.
livery,
Clear to left.
Laura?
Yes, the one I'm in right now.
Clear to land. Runway
Which one's
4
that?
left. Oscar
Yeah,
Tango
Oh.
Mike Capital X Red.
I know which one.
It's a special livery.
I know.
Oh, wait. I think I know.
Very special.
39. Ready for departure of runway 4 left. Departing north.
Cool
I'm waiting for us. I'm waiting for us to get those retrofits, but so far they haven't announced anything to us. We're still using ground-based.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate, especially for water crossings.
Runway 4 left. Cleared for takeoff.
Yeah, last time I flew to LA, we had we flew just outside the internet connectivity thing, like the whole flight, from almost like Iceland to
Thank you. Good day.
like
They
the-
did that on purpose.
Yeah, it was like just pick another route. It's okay. We'll pay extra for fuel, whatever. Like it was just the whole time, just like skirting the area.
Nice tower.
They're encouraging you to, be social, talk to the other passengers, enjoy the time without
Well,
internet.
hell no. I'm not talking
I'm
to
the,
anyone.
I'm the same way. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is talk to passengers.
Same.
Fraction 1021.
But I had one
Number 3,
cool passenger
runway
one
4
time when I
right.
went
Clear
to
land.
was on a
100,
Virgin
clear to land.
330
Runway
340
4 right. Fraction
to London
1021.
a few years ago. She was really nice.
I think the last passenger that I sat next to, we talked the entire flight from Wichita to Denver. It was like an hour and a half. And he worked for a company called Spirit. Not like Spirit Airlines, but a company called Spirit is the aerospace something or other. And his company is actually the company that 3D prints the 787 forward third of the fuselage, I think,
Wow.
with the carbon fiber. I was asking him about, I don't know if you guys remember, a couple years ago there was a, I'm watching Dan land. Wasn't bad.
Insane.
It was okay.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I'll take it.
Denver, there
Nice.
was a uncontained engine failure on a 777, I think. So his company was the one that was contracted to remake the, I think they were Pratt & Whitney engines or something. I don't remember which ones they were, but they were the ones that were contracted out to make the new cowlings and whatnot. So
Oh,
yeah, we kind of got stuck talking aviation, so made the flight go by pretty quick.
cool. That was a nice landing.
Thanks. What did it look like from the outside?
Line up and wait runway 4
Pretty good.
left. Condor
Yeah.
339.
It'd be
Okay,
nice
sorry.
to be able to see who's got a free cam around you. Like kind of seeing like spots.
There's probably like 20 cameras around him right now.
Yeah, that's actually,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't think about that.
It's almost
Well, that's
Saturday,
my
Laura,
Saturday
so
pro- That'll be my Saturday project, so.
Yeah.
huh? You got a couple,
You know-
couple days to think about how you're going to tackle that.
And that's the problem with us. Like we want to do cool. We want to have cool things, but we have to be the ones who implement it.
Yeah.
We can't just be like, when do you have this? It's like,
Yep, lick your
yeah.
fingers, there it is.
Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November.
The problem is, every time I want to
Runway 4 left.
implement something cool, there's like a million bugs. Like, my productive time is normally like 11 p.m. at night, which is also Adam Caller's productive time. And he normally sends me a list of bugs that he finds with specific things, so I normally have to get sidetracked with fixing it. Yeah, it's great.
It's actually funny.
It's funny, I always see the message at like 10:45 p.m. Evening cam, here's the list. There you go.
Thanks, Adam.
Here's your mission if you choose to accept it.
Adam just landed, by the way.
Hey.
He's right behind you.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, I see.
Slow down, Adam, you're going quite fast.
He still put his reverse thrusts on by the looks of it. Right, let's see. Let's park and get this giveaway.
Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November.
Going.
Contact nice. Corsair 780 Charlie.
Nice ground. Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November. Request taxi.
I do like seeing the airports when they're
Alpha
busy
Victor
because you see
Delta
some
Alpha
good call
November.
signs like
Taxi to parking
Prize.
at your discretion.
That's a good one.
Mike Alpha
And you
Golf
also see
India
some
Charlie.
absolutely
Taxi to
fantastic
parking
moments,
at your discretion.
like planes nosediving or stalling on takeoff, stuff like that. It's brilliant. I can't remember where I was. I think it might have been LAX. There was a 7478 taking off. It was a very, very slow takeoff. I just saw them dip and fall in the distance. The ground completely stalled it. It's hilarious to
You
watch.
guys know
I
guys
can't
know who,
enjoy it. Was that-
Jeff Favignano is? Do you know who Jeff Favignano is?
Yeah, we met him at
Yeah.
one of the FS Expos, I think.
He posted a video yesterday. I had an infinite flight clip of someone landing in there, and he and his friend, I guess, were reacting to him. They were laughing just because of how this guy was landing. It was actually pretty funny.
I just get a bit of a fright if I see those kind of things on the server because to me it's just a sign of something breaking or some data isn't being sent correctly. So like, oh god, is my evening going to be ruined?
There goes the server.
Yeah. There goes my life.
There goes my entire evening and night.
Yep.
Decent amount of planes there.
Right, the shutdown. Let's have a look. Yeah, this airport's quite busy at the moment, actually. Being on the schedule would help out as well, though, of course.
Yeah, we're on 646 connections right now.
It's gone up by 100 or so, no?
Yeah,
Pretty nice.
almost.
I guess
Ooh,
that's
cone
the
challenge,
US
let's see.
starting to wake up too.
I don't think it's
10
going to
o'clock,
be.
just about 10 o'clock here in Colorado.
Nice ground.
No, it wasn't close enough. Have you guys tried the cone challenge? Yeah.
I've not, but I've seen some of the entries from people. It's
It's
impressive.
actually like it just popped to my head randomly at some point, and it's actually just a fun little mini game to do once you arrive at the airport. And to be fair, since I made that thread, I haven't been able to do it. So there we go. I'm terrible at the cone challenge. Right, with that said, let's go ahead then. I'm going to go ahead and set up the giveaway. Unfortunately, the keyword giveaway doesn't work anymore. iBot just says nope to that every single time. So what we'll do is we'll do an active user giveaway. Essentially what that means is you just have to be active in the chat. So just say something random, hello or whatever, spam away, whatever you'd like to do, and you'll automatically be entered into the giveaway. In around 60 seconds time, we'll get Matt to do the drum roll, 10-second countdown, and we'll roll it, and then do the idea we mentioned earlier where you have the option to pass it on, and if you do pass it on, that adds a month to the subscription. So we'll see.
But you don't want to do a countdown from 350.
You can count down from 350 if you.
But shouldn't you do 35 since it's the CL35 and not the 350?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
It's close enough,
I've
yeah.
been scolded enough to know that it's not 350.
Guilty as charged. So much so that I created a whole topic for it.
I saw.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, with that said, start counting down to 35, Matt.
Alright, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15,
When it gets to 10 seconds,
14,
start really enthusiastic.
13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, here we go. The winner
Blast
is Simon Weber. Congratulations on winning 1 month to Infinite Flight Pro. Now, you have a choice. You can either keep that, or you can choose someone from the chat to pass it on to. And if you do that, it will give them 2 months to Infinite Flight Pro. Just for the record, Laura, Cam, and Matt, please keep your eyes peeled just as much as I am on the chat now, because this part's quite difficult.
Yeah.
Simon Weber. Okay, we're looking.
Nice round. Aegean 691. Ready for pushback with information.
I haven't seen the name come up yet.
No need
What
to.
if they don't? What if they don't answer?
Then we can just re-roll it and start again.
Okay.
But this time from 350, right?
Yeah, this time.
Nice ground. Golf Lima uniform kilo.
Simon Weber, are you?
Ready
Yep,
to
there's a
taxi to
Oh.
full stop.
right
There we
with
go.
information alpha.
Hey.
Nice ground. Juliet Tango Papa.
Does the full stop
Ready
mean you want
taxi
to
with
pass it on or
information
keep it?
alpha.
Forwards.
Juliet Tango
Forward.
Papa.
Hey.
Let's forward.
Okay, right. So,
Very kind
Alright.
person.
Contact tower when
who
ready.
would you like to forward it
Taxi
to?
into runway 4 left. Juliet Tango Papa. Nice ground. General 865. Ready for pushback with
Here's me,
information.
like-
alpha.
Scramble starts.
Requesting runway 4 left. General 865. Pushback approved. Expect
Oh my
runway
goodness.
4 left.
Choose
It's
Dan.
moving like crazy.
Stand by.
Can't see the
Rolling
messages.
3255. Nice ground. Golf Lima uniform Kilo Echo. Ready to taxi to runway 4 right with information alpha.
Full focus right now.
Yeah.
Someone, not me. I beg.
Ready for pushback with information alpha. Requesting runway 4 left.
Pushback approved. General 865.
Do you think they're aware of what to do?
I don't know.
I don't. Simon,
Okay, there's a timeout. If you haven't answered it within like 30 seconds.
He said
He
you
said
choose.
you choose.
You choo-
that's
Okay.
no, we can't do that. That's not how it works. Pick someone random from the chat. Just a random. It could be a channel member.
Nice ground. Was them all for 7
Anyone.
Alpha. Ready to taxi with
Could even be Dan.
nice ground. Tango Juliet Echo Romeo Tango. Ready to taxi.
Sub's almost expired.
Nice ground. Aegean 691. Ready for pushback with information alpha. Nice ground.
Very good.
Fraction
Choose me, choose me.
1021.
Thanks, Laura.
This could probably be the longest giveaway
Giveaway.
that you guys will have ever hosted. Oh, he said Dan.
Okay, Dan, 1 extra month. Who do you forward it to?
That's fine. Yeah, I'm going to forward it. I'm going to forward it to.
Nice ground.
Um,
Tango Juliet Echo Romeo Tango. Request taxi to Park.
Let's
Tango
see.
Juliet Echo Romeo Tango.
I forward it to a channel
Taxi
member,
runway 4
Justin.
left. Contact tower when ready.
Ooh, so what is that? 3 months now?
That's 3 months.
Or,
Now,
yeah,
Justin,
3 months.
you either get 3 months to pro, or you can pass it on, and it will turn into 4 months.
Forward, he said.
Forward.
Forward.
Okay. Now choose someone.
Holy.
Just for the record, this does only go up to 12.
Oh, he said
Okay,
Anshul.
Anshul, you can either keep it, keep the was it 5 months?
You're on 4 now.
4 now.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
a 4 month.
You can either keep the 4 months or pass it on.
Oh my god, it goes too fast. I can't see. Okay, if Anshul, if you
Oh,
I
you
shall
will
keep
keep
it.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Nice.
Well, Anshul, congratulations on winning 4 months to Infinite Flight Pro. Well, that was
Congratulations.
fun though.
congrats.
that
Yeah,
was
it was
a
fun.
that was a while.
It was
ago.
great.
Yeah, congrats.
It's a bit
And it's
painstaking
great.
having to pull out the comments from the chat manually, but it works. Anyway, with that said, that does actually bring us to the end of this debrief stream. I'll just very quickly say, Laura, Cam, Matt, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a blast, and it's been great to chat to you. One after another, would you like to do your outros?
Sure, I'll start. Thanks, Dan and Laura and Cam for having me on here. It's been great. Thanks again for the opportunity to kind of help out and provide some insight on the Challenger. So hoping everyone continues to enjoy it. Congrats on another release.
And thanks for what you've done as well, Matt.
Yeah, thank you for the help.
The challenges, or the beta, moderating, and the airports and stuff. It's massive, massive impact.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have you around. But no, thanks everyone for trying this release and for giving us feedback. And we're so glad to read all of this feedback, whether it's good or bad. Loads of work went into this, as we talked about, so it makes our day. So thanks, and keep enjoying it.
Absolutely. Thanks for your patience and bearing with us for this release. It was long. Just last week, Cam and I were like, this release needs to come out, you know, because it's like the last few percent of an update are miserable on development. It's just bugs and problems. And you know, big thanks to Matt for tremendous help on the EJet and the CL35.
350.
CL350, sorry.
Ban.
It's been like
Mr. Ban.
invaluable, and you know, maybe we need to work on that yaw damper issue now. But I think, you know, we've done good work. Like, it's a great team effort, and you know, having Matt kind of figure out like what was wrong and sending the feedback, and it was great. And yeah, for the community, thank you very much, and Dan for organizing all these great events and live streams.
Awesome stuff. More than welcome. Well, with that being said, I'll quickly do my outro. Short and simple, like always. Thank you all so much for stopping by today to watch this special one. It's been a blast to have you all here, and of course, stay tuned across social media for very many more work in progress shots. Cough the A380 at some point soon as well, hopefully, which will be very nice to share. But yeah, with that being said, take care, everyone. As Jason always mentions, keep the dirty side down. That was never my phrase, that was his. And we'll see you in the next one. As always, bye-bye.